The Israeli settlers keep going every day, attack Palestinian civilians in the West Bank, bonfire in their homes, farms, cars, trees, olive trees, destroy the infrastructure of Palestinians. More than 1,000 resolution was created by United Nations. More than 85 resolution was created from Security Council of United Nations. Israel obey none. Israel is only looking for revenge. All are equal. All are the son and daughters, grandson of daughters of Adam and Eve. This is the message need to be understood by the international society.
Hello and welcome to InferTalks, a podcast where I put you in the room with some of the biggest thought leaders from around the world. Today I'm joined by official spokesperson of the Embassy of the State of Palestine in Islamabad, Mr. Nader Al-Turk, to offer a Palestinian perspective to breaking out of an active conflict between Israel and Palestine. Mr. Nader Al-Turk, welcome to InferTalks.
Thanks a lot, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, Mr. Nader. Mr. Nader, let's go ahead and start our conversation. And my very first question is, as we go ahead and basically dissect this ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine, what were some of the latest factors that actually contributed to the breaking out of the hostilities and active conflict between Israel and Palestine?
Assalamu alaikum again. First of all, our leadership warn the world and ask them to end the occupation, end the criminal action taken by Israelis against our people, because this thing's going to have a price, going to take us again for the circle of blood, circle of violence. The international community, the main power in the world, especially the Americans and British, ignore our leadership request. And right now we face the result of their ignoring the request of our leadership. What is happening right now? It is actually named flood or Aqsa flood, because the Israelis have a plan to change Aqsa to become a Jewish temple, not Qibla Awwal of Muslims, not a masjid for Muslims, to only going to be a Jewish temple. They do that before, actually, in 1994, when one of the Israeli settlers attacked worshipper or Palestinian worshipper for Fajr namaz in that time and during Ramadan. He attacked them, killed decades of many of them, injured many of them. They defend themselves and kill that settler. The reaction of the Israelis was control 70% of that masjid and change it to become Jewish temple. They try to repeat the same scenario in Aqsa Masjid in Qibla Awwal by change the masjid to become a temple for the Jew, because they have fake propaganda said that 2,000 years before this was a temple of Sulaiman. So they try to make it a Jewish temple. This is what I need to mention. This is one of the reasons. The Israeli settlers, Israeli leaders, Israeli ministers keep attack Aqsa Masjid daily to change the facts on the ground, making a propaganda that this masjid is under their control and belongs to them, not for the Muslim Ummah. This is the second thing. Third thing, the Israeli settlers keep on going every day, attack Palestinian civilians in the West Bank, bonfire in their homes, farms, cars, cutting trees, olive trees, destroy the infrastructure of Palestinians. So this was the answer by our freedom fighters of all this criminal action against humanity, which is taken by the Israelis against the Palestinian people. We are the victim. We are trying to change that we have the message of peace, but actually we don't have real partner to create peace in the region on the Israeli side. So what has happened right now? We are again in circle of violence, circle of blood. We were suffering. Right now the Israelis are suffering. I hope they can take this opportunity to understand the only solution is peace, only peace.
So, Mr. Nader, let me also ask you, in addition to this, that you mentioned that there were provocative statements to change the status of the Al-Aqsa Mosque itself. apart from this, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu actually, flaunted a map in the UN General Assembly itself, which basically did not show the Palestinian territories itself. How much do you think something of that nature also had an impact in breaking out of hostilities?
This need to taking us a little back in the history. Before 1948, it was no Israel. It was only Palestine. The superpower countries in 1916 create Sykes-Picot. 1917 it was declaration of Richard. Okay, he was the Prime Minister of British Great Britain, and he giving a promise for the Jew to establishing a state on the land of Palestine. It was that time under the Ottoman's emperor control. It was not occupied by the British in that time. So they give a promise of the land of they don't own for a people do not deserve. Okay, this is one the first step. Second, when they occupied Palestine in 1918 and occupied Qibla Awal, Jerusalem city, they facilitate the transfer illegally Israeli Jew from Europe to live and come to live in Palestine, to change the facts on the ground. 1947, we're getting international resolution created by United Nations, which is make two states on Palestine, giving birth for two states on the land of Palestine, 56% for the Jew, 43% for the Palestinian, 1% going to be international, whereas the Jerusalem and Bethlehem. Later on, 1948, the British withdrawal from Palestine. The Israelis, the Jewish armed group, taking the place of the British in their camps and their areas, and control Palestine, and they establishing their own state on the Palestinian state. They didn't occupy 56% only of Palestine, they occupied 78% of Palestine. So if Mr. Netanyahu said there is no Palestine, we ask him, you getting a birth certificate from the United Nations to become a state according to 181 resolution. If you denied Palestine, you denied Israel. If you denied the state of Palestine, it means there is no state of Israel, because it was the resolution was for giving birth for two states, not only for one. This is one thing. Second, the Israelis to join membership of United Nations in 1989 or 1950, they accept the resolution 273, which is having duties Israel need to do to become a member on United Nations. It was many conditions, three conditions you need to accept it. The first one, need to obey 181 resolution, which speak about two states on the land of Palestine. Second thing, they need to facilitate the right of return to the Palestinian refugees to their own properties, which was transferred from it in 1948 by the Israelis armed group, which is according to 194 resolution of United Nations. So with Mr. Netanyahu ignoring all of that, actually he damaged the legality of Israel as a state. He damaged the legality of Israel as a membership of the United Nations. So the answer not need to be from our side, it's need from the international society who create Israel and publish 181 resolution and 194 resolution. This is their own resolution. If the Israelis not obey and the international not obey, why they ask us to obey the international resolution?
So there are multiple resolutions that are actually calling for...
More than 1,000 resolution was created by United Nations. More than 85 resolution was created by, from Security Council of United Nations. And Israel obey none.
And most of these actually stress as an enduring solution to this conflict to come up with a two-state solution. Let me come to my next question. And, speaking of some of the current and existing factors that led to the breaking out of the hostilities, do you think in any way were recent developments in form of Abraham Accords that stressed on normalizing relationship between regional countries and Israel led to this point where you saw desperation actually taking form or culmination of a breaking out of violence between Israel and Palestine in this form? Did that actually have anything to contribute to what happened now?
To be clear, Israel or Israelis can normalize their relationship with all the nation, with all the state around the world, with all the security, all the communities around the world, but they are knocking the wrong doors. So getting stability and security and peace for their people, they need to knock the right door. The only door is available to reach peace, stability for Israelis is Palestinian leadership door, Palestinian people door. They are in conflict mainly with us. They are actually, in general, they are in conflict with Arab nations, with Muslim Ummah, because they are occupied Qibla Awwal, which is the most holy place for all Muslim Ummah. This creates the conflict between them and all Muslim Ummah. If they are normalize the relationship with all the world without getting peace process and establishing of Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital, without facilitate the right of return of the Palestinian refugees to their authorities, they will never reach peace or stability. So this is the message from us. If they need to normalize their relationship first with the Palestinian by end occupation, end their crimes against humanity, end the building more settlements, and stalling the Palestinian rural resources, and stalling our culture, our land, our history, and accept us as equal people for them by creating peace together and by establishing a Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital, by facilitating the right of return of Palestinian refugees their own homes and villages, which was transferred from it in 1948. This is the only solution.
So, understanding where the international community has perhaps failed the Palestinian people, let me then ask you about the recent, breaking out of the hostilities. Hamas's offensive on October 7th caught Israel off guard, and the attack was touted as unprecedented by many analysts. What exactly was unprecedented about this offensive, and how do you see repercussions for both sides unfolding? And then let me also ask you, and do you see any significant spillover impacting regional countries?
Actually, what is happening right now in Gaza was a surprise for everyone in the world, not only for the Israelis. Because, Gaza was under siege for more than 20 years. Gaza, they have electronic siege around it. It was a miracle how the Palestinian freedom fighters could cross these borders safely, reach to the Israeli settlements, reach to the Israeli army camps, attack them, take many prisoners of them, killed many of them, injured some of them. Actually, they was following, the Palestinian freedom fighters was following the rules of war. They was not attack civilians, was not killing or injured children or women. They only attack the armed people, the armed settlers, our Israeli army. On the other hand, the Israelis are breaking all the rules of war by attacking civilians only in Gaza, by create a tragedy, a huge crisis there. They are stop and end supply of electricity, gas, drug supply, medical equipment supply. not allowed to Gaza, water not allowed, food is not allowed. All the resources to have for a human being lives, it is ended by Israelis, not allowed it to be supplied to Gaza. This is what is happening right now. What is I just call many of my families there. They are really suffering, but on the other hand, they have a faith that this battle going to change the conflict for the favor of Palestine, favor of our independence, by our getting our right, by establishing our own state on the land of Palestine, with Jerusalem as its capital. I hope so. Very soon we see Israel's occupation and Israeli settlers left our territories, and we having stability in our region.
But, Mr. Nader, we've seen a lot of disputed claims in terms of how people have been targeted. And we've seen so far, in terms of how it's been reported in the media, over 900 Israelis have been killed, over 100 have been abducted, and Israel's retaliation has resulted in the killing of over 700 Palestinians in the Gaza, and then at the same time has resulted in the displacement of over 120,000 Palestinians over there. Considering the nature of pushback against armed resistance in the past, are you concerned about heavy-handed approaches being taken in Gaza once again, the West Bank, and the East Jerusalem in response to this?
Our leadership in West Bank tries their best to support our people in Gaza. There are our embassies, our missions around the world working hard to make the hosting countries change their statements, change their speech by defending the Palestinian civilians, by looking for the Palestinians needed for their support to end this conflict. This is what our leadership right now do. Our leadership right in contact with our brotherly countries around Jordan, Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, to facilitate the issues. It is what is happening in Gaza, and this attack, criminal attack by the Israelis on Gaza, facilitate the supply of the emergency equipment for the Palestinian, our people in Gaza. This is what we are doing right now. As a Palestinian, we are united against Israel, united because we are the victims, united because we are all freedom fighters, united as we have share the same dream, the same right, we are looking for freedom, stability for our people, for our state, by establishing our own state, by getting the right of return for our refugees. All of us on the same page in different ways. Some of them a freedom fighter, some of them is diplomat, sometimes is a politician, someone is a media man. All of us working for the same things, stability and peace in our country and our region.
So, Mr. Nader, let me now bring your attention to the statement which was made by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu when he declared a state of war. And Israel's defense minister, yesterday we heard, has actually announced the enforcement of a siege, declaring, as of now, no electricity, no food, no fuel for Gaza. How will this collective punishment aggravate life for people in Gaza? And what has been the cost of the previous and the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict on the people in the Gaza and in the West Bank?
Palestinians in Gaza right now are suffering from this. They can manage for a few days, 3 weeks, but not for a long time. Until that, we hope after this short time, this thing's going to end. Mr. Netanyahu actually mentioned something else. Maybe it was not published too much in that highlighted by media, that he requests Gaza people to leave their houses, to go outside Gaza Strip, to give the opportunity to make themselves safe under this attack. Our message to Mr. Netanyahu: the only place Gaza people are going to leave Gaza from it is only their own homes and villages, towns inside the borders of 1948, which has become Israel right now. Most of Gaza people are refugees. The only things they're going to do, they will request Mr. Netanyahu to open the borders and let them back to their own homes, villages inside the land which is mentioned as Israel, okay? Because by accepting and obey 194 resolution and let them go back to there. They will not go to the sea, will not go to any neighbor country. They only have the right to stay in Gaza or coming back to the land of their grandfathers and grandmothers, which is the old land of Palestine, historical land of Palestine before 1948. This is the only way they are going to use to do it. This is the only place going to be safe and to give it for their grandson and granddaughters. This is first thing. Second things, international community, we are sad for their, respond, because they are speak only about the right of Israel of self-defense, defend themselves, and ignoring the Palestinian right of defend themselves. This right of defense themselves, yourself of self-defense, it is right for all the nations, all the people. So it needs to be activate and acceptable and obey for all the nations, not only for Israelis. We ask the international community to end the double standards. The power of occupation, names are different, but it's still power of occupation. We are the victims, names are different, but still victim. We are under the occupation since 1948, and we only face silence from the superpower countries. This is not acceptable anymore. We speak about double standard because we see how the response and the reaction of the international society and superpower countries when we see the crisis in Ukraine and the war in Ukraine. We like to see similar thing in Palestine to create peace and stability in our region. This is the only way. End the double standard. Be just. Obey the international resolution, international law. This is not selected for one nation and the other nations need to be ignored. This was created to be for all the nations in the world.
So, Mr. Nader, very recently, your colleague, Ambassador Zamlot, in London, on BBC, while commenting on the ongoing conflict, he said, how do we stop this? How do we provide an alternative path? How do we treat the people of Palestine after 100 years of suffering? Raising a question on the conscience of the international community itself to resolve this lingering dispute. My question then is, what is your expectation of the regional and international community for de-escalating this conflict at this point in time, bringing back some normalcy, and perhaps for a durable solution to the decades-long conflict and long-due right of the Palestinians?
The answer is very simple. Only obey international law, obey international resolution. As I mentioned before, we're getting about 1,000 resolution from United Nations in favor of Palestine. We're getting from the General Assembly of United Nations. We have about 85 or 90 resolution from Security Council of United Nations. We have, the plan of peace, which is what created by Arab League in 2002, which become a plan of peace for Muslim Ummah. Okay, it was a meeting in Pakistan here, I think in 2007, I think so. Only obey the principle of the human rights principles. Mm-hmm. The answer is very simple. Peace. Only peace. Peace can be reached by obey all human beings in equal way, by facilitate and establish the Palestinian independent state on the land of Palestine, with Jerusalem as its capital, facilitate the right of return for the Palestinian refugees, and the occupation, and the blind support for Israel's occupation, and the blind support for Israeli settlers and the double standard when you are dealing with Palestine, you are dealing with the principles and ways different when you are dealing with other crises in the other places of the world, like Ukraine as example. And after all of that, we are going to getting peace and stability in our region and all the world.
And so, Mr. Nader, before we conclude this conversation, let me ask you, how do you see the possibility of, cessation of hostilities as it exists right now? And what do you think the Palestinian officials are actually expecting from different stakeholders in the international community that they can do to implement that durable solution?
We are optimistic that this situation going to be changed, but sadly not soon. What we are facing right now on the ground is revenge. Israel is only looking for revenge because this is the first time ever they're getting this much of lost life and injured people. Because when they are attacking us by their tanks, by their aircraft, they are never lose anything. They only lose money when they are using these weapons. This is the first when they are looking for the numbers of shaheed and injured people in Palestinians as numbers, not as a human being. Right now, they are starting suffering like we are suffering. I hope so. This is going to be a lesson, going to be something to obey the lives of all the human beings. All life of human beings are precious because it is created by Allah Himself. So the message for all the international community: save the lives, save the humans being, obey the life of all of us, deal with us in equal way, deal with all humans in just by the coming to the international resolutions, international law, which is created for all the human being, not only for Israelis or other nations only. There is no one is elite. All are equal. All are the son and daughters, grandson of daughters of Adam and Eve. This is the message need to be understood by the international society. We are waiting. Our leadership are open-minded for peace and stability, create peace and stability. Sadly, until now, there is no real partner to create peace in our region in the Israeli side, because they are believe in their power, believe that they are a superpower in the region, believe they are supported blindly by USA, by British and some other European countries. They think this support will make them safe. Actually, what happened in Gaza 3 days before give them a message that no one is safe. The only opportunity for safety is obey human beings at all of them in equal way, obey the international resolutions, obey the international law, and accept to create peace and independent state for the Palestinians. This is the only solution. Power not make you safe. Peace only can make you safe.
Mr. Nader, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation today. And we really hope that there's an immediate cessation of hostilities and that the plight of the Palestinians is addressed at the earliest, with the hope that they get their recognition, their identity, and their right to coexist in peace side by side.
We are waiting for international society to be wise enough by giving hope for our people that there is a light in the end of the tunnel. There is light and there is hope for creating peace and stability. If we are losing this hope, this will keep us in bloody circle and more violent circles. I hope so they achieve their responsibilities by supporting the right cause of Palestine, by support the right of Palestinians to getting their rights on the ground to be obeyed. This is the only solution. It needs to be obeyed from all the parties. We hope so they're going to be wise and stop to be blindly supporting the power of occupation of Israel against the Palestinian people.
Thank you so much, Nader.
Thank
Mr.
you
Nader,
very
once
much.
again.
All the best.
Thank you so much for staying with us through this conversation with Mr. Nader Al-Turk on InferTalks. Our team works very hard to make this work possible, and it would mean the world to us if you could like and share our content to show your support. And if you'd like to stay informed on upcoming podcasts and other work, please hit the bell icon.